Hello chess lovers! Today's grandmasters generally prefer a low-risk style of play, trying to convert even the smallest advantages. As a result, we often see extremely quiet and uneventful games that end in draws. Consequently, aggressive openings are usually avoided. But there are exceptions, and that's when we get the attacking chess we all want to see. For example, when a legendary grandmaster like Garry Kasparov plays the Evans Gambit. The Evans Gambit arises from the following position. Pawn to e4 by white. The response of black is pawn to e5. Then we have knight to f3 by white. Knight to c6 by black. Bishop to c4 by white. Bishop to c5 by black. And then we have pawn to b4. The Evans Gambit is one of the most aggressive openings. White sacrifices a wing pawn to size the center with tempo and gain a significant lead in development. And the best is, this gambit is completely sound. Let's take a quick look to the main lines of this wonderful opening. Here are the main variations divided into the declining and acceptance of this gambit. If black plays bishop to b6, then we have the Evans Gambit declined. Some black players prefer not to get involved in the tactical complications and choose to decline the pawn sacrifice. White normally respond with pawn to a4. The intention is to trap the black bishop with a5. So black will react with pawn to a6. White has gained space on the queen side, while black is often under slight pressure in this variation. We have now pawn to c3, knight to f6, pawn to d3, pawn to d6, and finally white castles kingside. White has the better position. Now we take a look to the Evans Gambit accepted. Here the black bishop captures on b4. After black captures the pawn, white almost always follow up with pawn to c3. Black must decide where to retreat the bishop. This choice dictates the character of the game. If black plays bishop to a5, then we have the classical variation. This is the most frequently played move. The answer of white is pawn to d4. The response of black pawn to d6. Then we have white queen to b3, black queen to d7, white castles to the king side, black bishop to b6, and then we have white bishop to b5. White has full compensation for the sacrificed pawn. If black moves his bishop to e7, then we have the modern variation. The response of white is pawn to d4, black answers with knight to a5, bishop to e2 by white, d6 by black, queen to a4 with check, c6 by black, and now the d4 pawn of white captures on e5. Black recaptures with his d-pawn. Now the white knight captures on e5. Black plays knight to f6, and then white castles to the king side. White has a good position. If black moves his bishop to c5, then we are in the sharp variation. White plays d4, the black e-pawn captures on d4, white castles to the king side, black's d-pawn captures on c3 And now the white bishop captures on f7 with check. The black king recaptures. White queen to d5 with check. The black king moves back to e8. And the white queen captures the bishop on c5. White is better because of his attacking chances. The Evans Gambit is still considered playable and dangerous at the highest levels, as demonstrated by the games of legendary players like Kasparov and Nakamura. So if you like attacking chess, try the dangerous Evans Gambit and you will win many chess games. Now we look at a historic encounter from the 1995 Tal Memorial in Riga. It's Garry Kasparov with the white pieces against Viswanathan Anand with the black pieces. This game is famous for Kasparov's revival of the Evans Gambit. Let's look at the board. Kasparov opens with pawn to e4. Anand responds with pawn to e5. Now we have knight f3 by white and knight c6 by black. The white bishop moves to c4. Black bishop to c5. Now we have a standard Italian opening, but here Kasparov goes for the legendary pawn to b4. The Evans Gambit isn't just an opening, it's a statement of intent. White offers a pawn to gain development and control the center. Anand accepts. So we have pawn to c3 by white now. Bishop to e7. Anand chooses the very solid retreat. Pawn to d4. Knight to a5 by black. White's bishop moves back to e2. Black's e-pawn captures on d4. The white queen recaptures. The threat is obvious. The queen puts pressure on g7. So black plays knight to f6. e5 by white. Knight to c6 by black. The white queen moves to h4. And now the black knight moves to d5. Queen to g3. Black moves the g-pawn to g6. Black had to play king to f8 with equal chances. Now white is slightly better. Castling by white. Knight to b6 by black. Kasparov moves the c-pawn to c4. d6 by black. The white rook moves to d1. This rook on the d-file creates a nasty pin. Knight to d7. Not the best move. Bishop e6 was better. Bishop to h6 by white. That prevents black from castling and keeps the king stuck in the center. The knight from c6 captures on e5. White knight captures on e5. Black knight recaptures. White moves his knight to c3. Pawn to f6 by black. c5 now. Black knight to f7. After that move, white has a winning advantage. White's c-pawn captures on d6. Black recaptures with his c-pawn. White queen to e3. Now the black knight captures on h6. White's queen recapture. Black moves his bishop to f8. And white's queen moves to e3 with check. Black king to f7. Black could not play queen to e7 because of white queen to f3 and then bishop c4 with check, followed by rook e1, and white is winning quickly. Now white plays knight to d5. black bishop to e6, white knight to f4, queen to e7. That is a mistake. Rook to e1. Game over. Anand resigns. But why? If black moves his queen to d7, then we have bishop b5. If black moves his bishop to f5, then white bishop to c4 is coming. And if black moves his bishop to h6, then we have also bishop to c4. In every case, black loses material. We saw a masterpiece of attacking chess by Garry Kasparov when he played the dangerous Evans Gambit. This game proves that initiative is often more important than a single pawn. If you want to see more tactical breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel.